Oh my God. Let me show you what I got. This beat is so hot. Oh my God.
Is that bullshit?
I think not.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Candy Shop Fantasy Football Podcast. Sort of. We are a part of the Fantasy Six Pack Audio Network. I'm your host tonight, Dylan Clemens, and here with me, as he is every week, is my co-host, Mike LaPlante. Unfortunately, we only have one half of the Mike and Ikes tonight. Ike got caught up doing something, so we're rolling on with just Mike and I, and we are talking the Week 8 slate of NFL games. And Mike will still be giving out his sweet and sour picks for the night. Before we jump into everything, I just want to remind everyone, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And then head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans to become an all-access member. That's where you get access to our award-winning rankings, draft cheat sheets, access to our F6P Discord where you get custom league advice, and custom advice for your DFS builds from Dave Eddy, Chris Robb, and Keith Fleming, all them guys, man. And you'll make your $9.99 a month up in no time just off the DFS knowledge that those three guys are putting out. They do an absolute fantastic job. But Mike, that does it for all the shameless plugging that we're doing. Hey, Albert, good to see you, man. But how are you doing, man? And how did your Week 8 of NFL games start for you after a pretty good Thursday night football game we had last night between the Vikings and the Rams?
I mean, in the main league that we have, it didn't matter a whole lot. I was going up against Cooper Kupp, so it's kind of nice to see that he that's the touchdown was pretty much it. But in the other leagues, I had Kyron, I had Stafford when I started him, and the belle of the ball, Puka. I did have the balls to actually start him in some of the leagues that I was in, and I reaped the benefit of it. But I know some people weren't as desperate as I was at the wide receiver position to plug in Puka.
What was weird about everything last night, Mike? Like you kind of already alluded to it. It looked like the Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua connection never even skipped a beat. But when it was the Cooper Kupp Matthew Stafford connection, that looked a little off. Stafford missed him on a couple throws. They just never really looked comfortable, but at least, like you said, at least Cooper Kupp salvaged his day somewhat with the touchdown. But that game was awesome, man. I was shocked at the way it played out. I shouldn't say shocked once Puka and Kupp were in, but I definitely had the Vikings money line yesterday, and it looked good to start the game. Vikings would go right down and score, but then the Rams just come back and just punch them right back, man, and punch them right back. And the Vikings defense, who I've been touting up for the past, month or so, could put zero pressure on Matthew Stafford last night, man. It was mind-boggling. And it wasn't like they weren't blitzing. They were still doing it, but to be honest with you, it just felt like the Rams' offensive line was just played spectacular, man.
Well, I know it's funny because you gave me a lot of crap when I was, talking crap about the Vikings defense. And then that goes and happens. But I mean, you could kind of foreshadow it though. I mean, the pressure you couldn't because their offensive line is in shambles right now for the Rams. But when they have Cooper Kupp, they have Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams and Stafford all on the field at the same time. It's a hard offense to stop. And we just witnessed it again against another solid defense in the Vikings. But, they're still going to have their good matchups down the line.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah,
Darnold was a little disappointing after the way he started, though. That's the last thing I will say.
For who? Sorry?
Darnold. After the way he started, it was a little disappointing. He didn't have more.
It's kind of been a little bit of a trend lately, man. I feel like the last few games he's kind of struggled in the second half. If I'm being honest. The Packer game he did for sure because the Packers got back into the game. The Lions game as well because the Vikings had a lead in the first half. But yeah, the second half of games he seems to be struggling a little bit. But Mike, let's go ahead. That's enough of the Thursday night football talk. Let's go ahead and jump right into the games that we got going on Sunday. Nobody on a bye this week, guys. That's good news. No London game either, so you don't have to get up early. Go ahead,
They should have bye. They should have put a bye weeks on here because 14 it doesn't need 4 teams on or 2 teams on bye. I don't care.
Yeah,
That's my. Go ahead. Go ahead.
shit's hitting the fan here in a couple weeks with bye weeks, that's for sure. But the first game we got on the docket here is the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cleveland Browns and AFC North battle. Got the Ravens favored by 8 points in this one with a game total of 44.5. The Ravens are dealing with some injuries. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey is doubtful. Zay Flowers is questionable with that ankle injury, which hampered his production last week. Well, you also have for the Browns, Jerome Ford is out with the hamstring injury, and obviously Deshaun Watson is out after blowing up his Achilles last week. Jameis Winston starting for the Browns, so this will be at least entertaining, Mike. Let's just go ahead and say that. I don't know if this game is going to be close because Baltimore is clicking on all cylinders, but it's going to be an entertaining game with Jameis chucking it all over the place. But we'll kick it to you, man. Start this show off with some positive vibes. Give us someone who you're absolutely in on in this matchup.
I was just gonna say there's not many positive things you can say about Cleveland, but they, like you said, they're gonna be entertaining to watch now at least. Which there's not gonna be a sweet player on the Browns. Sorry, guys. This isn't a low hanging fruit though, Brody. So don't worry. Rashad Bateman, and this is injury based. If Flowers is out, he will be sweet for you, and you want to plug him in. Cleveland's the 6th best matchup for wide receivers. Bateman and Flowers are the only wide receivers with over 70% of the snaps on the year. Next highest wide receiver for him is Aguilar with 49%. So, if Flowers is out, I expect Bateman to be up probably in the 90% snap range. And did you know that Bateman's wide receiver 15 over the last 3 weeks?
I knew he's put together a few good weeks for sure, man.
Yeah, but to be wide receiver 15, that's wild. That is wild. I never would have expected that. Only 16 targets in those 3 games, but I mean, we've seen what he can do on 16 targets in this offense over the last 3 weeks. Imagine if those targets get, increase. If Flowers is out, then they're definitely going to increase.
Yep. We got a couple comments here. Albert saying, yeah, for the Browns for a sweet player, he could have went in Joker.
Man, I'm a little sketched out here because I know like the Ravens, they haven't looked like the same defense, but this is Jameis Winston. Like he can easily get some interceptions here. Now they're playing it, pick 6 ball, and because that is what Jameis Winston is known for. So I look at it like the Browns O-line has not been great either. Baltimore's pass rush is good, so I'm not like as high on Njoku, but in the wasteland that is tight end, he's still 7-8.
Yeah, Brody, I personally can't go Nick Chubb yet. I know he found the end zone last week, but he was super non-efficient still. Give it a couple weeks, maybe he could work back into shape and be fantasy viable more so than a depth piece as he is right now, in my opinion. Before we jump over to a sour play, Mike, are we buying into Cedric Tillman at all? Seeing 12 targets last week with the combination of the 3 quarterbacks. Played a lot of snaps with Amari Cooper being shipped out. And I'd assume it's going to keep happening. Is he someone you probably don't need to play him this week because nobody's on bye, but do you think he could be a bye week fill-in here the next couple weeks as we go into bye-mageddon, or are you still looking elsewhere?
I mean, if you're absolutely desperate in a flex position, I think you could start, Tillman this week, because the Ravens are, pretty solid matchup against the 3rd best for wide receivers.
No Marlon Humphrey either, man. So,
but yeah, it's still a sketchy play. It's nice seeing the targets, but we want to see that happen again, and because it's it was a mix of DTR and Jameis, and I'm afraid that when DTR is healthy, they might go away from Jameis. When he was listed as the emergency QB and DTR was the number 2 guy, that raised my eyebrow about how they felt about the QB room.
No, yeah, that was definitely weird. I agree with you there. Well, let's go to not so positive vibes here, man. Give me your sour play of this matchup.
It's all the Browns pass catchers, so that's what I was kind of alluding to here, Albert. Just because I feel like this is a Baltimore Ravens defense get right game. Like I know we're all hyped up for Jameis, but it's you listen to the Ringer Fantasy podcast. It feels like a Costanza, man. Like the Ravens are gonna come in here and just run it down the Browns' throat. They're gonna just dominate them, and or the other way around, that Jameis Winston is gonna be all of a sudden the savior. Like I lean the Ravens way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't like the pass catchers. Like Njoku's the only one I'm willing to start, just because of like how bad tight ends are.
No, yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Obviously,
That's
you're going with
like I said. If you're down bad, start Tillman over Judy, because Judy's just god awful right now.
Yeah.
But Tillman saw the
His
targets.
hands
He
don't
might
work.
like if you are down bad, like if it's between Calvin Ridley and you don't even want to play that game with the injury game, go Cedric Tillman. If it's that type of bad.
Yeah, no, I hear that. You're obviously starting Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, absolute studs, locking them in there out of this game. I expect them to both have solid games. Derrick Henry just finds the end zone every week, and Lamar just keeps playing like MVP caliber Lamar, man. He's even putting together a better season he did last year. So,
And if you saw our thumbnail on the show, Derrick Henry loves to smile when he's running for those touchdowns.
love that, man. He's awesome. Looking at the next game, we actually have Derrick Henry's former team, and the Tennessee Titans taking on the Detroit Lions. The Titans are getting 11.5 points on the road here. Vegas thinks the Lions are just going to dominate this one with a game total of 45. Titans are banged up heading into this one. Tajay Spears, hamstring, he's questionable. Will Levis, questionable right shoulder. Mason Rudolph's already been named the starter for this week anyways, so that doesn't matter. Obviously, the Lions are missing Aiden Hutchinson. David Montgomery is surprisingly not on the injury report at all this week, Mike, after him tweaking his knee. And I know you're at the Packer game, so you might not have saw it. That did not look good. And then in just a few drives later, he's back in the game. Just totally weird, but it's good to see he's not on the injury report. But hey, man, who do you have? Let's start with your sour play here. Who don't you like in this matchup, and why are you going to go with Tony Pollard?
Monty pops a couple Vicodins and he's like, "All right, guys, I'm back."
He Brett Favre'd it.
He Brett Favre'd it, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think if my sweet play here, or did you say my sour play? I don't care. I want to go with my sweet play here because this is the one that's actually, this one's fun. It's Sam Laporta. Through 6 games this year, do you know how many targets Laporta has?
13.
It was close. 17. Did you know how many he had through 6 games last year? I'll save you the time. 42.
26. Okay.
And that was when J-Mo really wasn't involved. And this is exactly what we're gonna get now with J-Mo accepting his suspension for 2 games. So he's only seen 7 targets the past 3 weeks. Laporta has. So to put that in perspective, he's pretty much seen half his targets in the last 3 games. That's gotta triple, I think, this game.
I do. I like that
or
call, man. I feel like the only way that doesn't happen. Yeah, I feel like the only way that it doesn't happen is if the game script goes sideways and Laporta doesn't score early. But I agree. And for the love of God, Jameson Williams, can you stop doing stupid things?
To his knowledge, he didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what, they're not going to disclose what happened, but he said he, watches what he puts in his body. I read his little disclaimer letter that was from his agent.
Yeah, man. I don't know either, but figure it out, man, because we've seen the talent now. You just got to put it all together off the field and just, man, figure it out. But Mike, go right into your sour player. Who don't you like here?
I don't know if you said it or not, and that's what you were leading me into, but I wanted to go the opposite way, but it's Tony Pollard. I know they don't have Aiden Hutchinson, but the only running backs that have finished as an RB2 against this defense have been Ken Walker and Kyron Williams. Ken Walker was RB2, Kyron Williams was RB21, and he barely made it because he fell in the end zone. You do not start your running backs against the Lions. That's what the process says, unless it's, like someone of CMC or Derrick Henry's caliber.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I definitely don't. If you have the ability to put Tony Pollard on your bench, I think you do so as well. Someone who I kind of have my eyes on in this matchup, and I don't think he's going to go crazy. He's not going to win you a week. I actually don't mind Calvin Ridley here, Mike. He is off the injury report now, as he fully practiced this week. I think he could get you double-digit fantasy points against this Lions defense, who has allowed a pretty decent amount of fantasy points to the position. I'm trying to pull it up right now. My computer's being a little slow. Fourth most to the wide receiver position. So DeAndre Hopkins now in Kansas City. I think Calvin Ridley could put up a solid week. Nothing crazy, but I think he'll be all right. Mason Rudolph, I feel, is a little bit more of an accurate passer, more of a game.
I was going to say, who's throwing him the ball more?
He could just kind of get him the ball. And he really saw 9 targets last week, Mike, with Hopkins there. So I think this week could be a Calvin Ridley week if you're really hurt with injuries and stuff. So just something of a thought there. Brody said, got to be mostly garbage time. All those points are created equal in fantasy football. But yeah, Brody, that's a great point. That could definitely happen, especially with this 11.5 point line that Vegas has it at, which I might go ahead and take the Lions anyways, man, even though they're favored by 11.5, because they're a dang good football team. Next game we got here, though, Mike, is a rematch of a game we already got earlier this season. That's the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Houston Texans. Battle in the AFC South. Colts getting 5.5 points on the road to the Texans. Game total 45. Big thing for the Colts here, man. They could be getting DeForest Buckner back, so their defensive line is getting a little better. Maybe they can slow down Joe Mixon, who's been solid coming back here from the injury. Mike, I'll take you.
Dude, he's been. I mean, you're underrating Mixon. He's been solid all year. Like when he's been healthy, he's been a top 5 running back for 3 games. He has been healthy this year.
Yeah, he has. Absolutely. Is he your sweet pick, or are you going elsewhere? Go ahead, unmute yourself. Was he your sweet pick?
I was thinking. Yeah, I was thinking. Like I wanted to go with him, but actually, I feel like this was less low hanging fruit because he's been injured and he's coming right back off of it. And it's Jonathan Taylor. He practiced this week. I think he's a smash play. I like to, look into these little things when I hear them. Did you know in 7 games against the Texans, Jonathan Taylor has 859 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns? He averages over 100 yards a game and at least a touchdown a game against this team. And if he's healthy, they've, sat him for the full time. Mixon came out. He was looking healthy. I think Taylor has a smash day.
Yeah, why not? I can see that happening. And that's just going to open things up for the offense with him being back.
It was only on like 100.
Trey Sermon's not that guy.
No, and Tyler Goodson's all right. He can spell Taylor when he needs to, but man, it was only on like 158 carries that he had that 859 yards. That's insane.
Yeah, no, that definitely is here, man. Who is your sour play here though in this matchup?
You're not gonna like it. It's Tank Dell.
Okay.
I can't trust him, man. All right, I brought it up on Joe's show last night. Dude, he broke his ankle less than a year ago. Like, it took Tony Pollard 2 years to be what he is now. The guy we thought he was going to be, in Dallas last year. So Tank Dell's going through the same thing at the moment. He's not consistent. He has 1 finish as a wide receiver 2. Every other finish has been wide receiver 41 or worse. That's not even a wide receiver 3. That's like flex. I mean, I feel like, against, I don't trust him. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where if you have, like, it's no bye weeks this week. You know what I mean? If you're not down bad, I'd give me a better option for Tank Dell. You know what I mean? I would start pretty much, and we'll talk about next game. I would start every Packers wide receiver outside of Christian Watson over Tank Dell this week.
Okay. I will disagree with you there. I think Tank Dell has a solid week, actually. CJ Stroud threw for 86 yards last week, Mike. I think that's what the big problem was. I mean, and that's not going to happen again. Tank was good the week before. We know Nico Collins. I just kind of think he is who we thought he was coming in. we kind of thought Tank Dell was going to be a little bit boom or bust heading into the season with the wide receiver room with a healthy Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs coming over as well. But you definitely can't be dealing with zeros in your lineup. And I don't think that's going to happen again this week. I don't think he's going to blow up, but I think he's going to be just fine. But I don't mind you going out on a limb and saying he's going to struggle again. I don't hate that at all.
It's one of those things where, man, I was at the game when I watched him drop that touchdown. I mean, that was right in his hands.
I didn't care for it.
Tucker Kraft caught a touchdown like this right off his hands through another, defender's hands, and Tank Dell couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, I did not. Definitely did not.
I just think it's it's one of those things where Tank Dell will rebound next year.
All right, I hear you. Next game, we got the Green Bay Packers taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Packers favored by 4 points on the road. Game total of 49. Packers got some injuries on the defensive side. Devontae Wyatt, Quay Walker, both questionable heading into this one. And then for the Jaguars, Travis Etienne questionable as well. I'd probably say 60-40. He's trending towards playing, I would assume. Mike, who are you out on here in this matchup? Start with your sour play in this Packers Jaguars matchup.
No, you want to be sour, huh? It's the entire Jaguars backfield. I think Etienne is trending to play, and if he plays, I think all three are involved because Bigsby will just, he's earned his spot. Etienne will just fill into the Dearness Johnson role, which has been the pass catching back for the most part. I don't trust it if Etienne is there, which is probably what's going to happen. But if Etienne's not there, Bigsby, you're probably going to have to start him. But it's one of those things where, like, this is a game where I think the Packers get up big, and Bigsby doesn't get targets. Yeah. So if you start Bigsby, if Etienne's out, man, it might be a rough day for you. It's not going to be like last week.
Yeah, I think kind of what you're alluded to there. I think Etienne could be saved a little bit this week with the positive game script, like you said, with the Packers kind of ideally dominating this, man. And we saw what the Packers blitz packages did to the Texans offensive line, who are one of the best in football. What do you think they're going to do to the Jaguars, man? Trevor Lawrence is going to need to get the ball out of his hands as quick as possible. So I see Etienne maybe getting a little bit of work, salvaging his day. But I'm absolutely with you, Mike. I want no part of Tank Bigsby if Travis Etienne is healthy. But who are you going with as your sweep play? Who do you love in this matchup?
I didn't want to be obvious because, like I said, I do like the receivers in this matchup because Jaguars are duty against the receivers. There's just a defense that you want to start almost everybody against, and that's why my sweep player is Josh Jacobs. This may be a little biased. It's not because I'm a Packers fan, though. I promise you this. It's because I just traded for him in a dynasty league where I'm trying to push for a championship. So that is the only reason why I could say this is a little biased, because you know me as a Packers fan. I do not push that into fantasy football bias. So, like, Jacobs, this is the 7th best matchup for you. He's got his first receiving touchdown in his career last week. This is just going to be like one of those games where he's got a positive game script. He's going to run it down their throats.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, man. Like you said, fire up all these Packers. Jordan Love has QB1 upside this week. You got both outside receivers, man. The Jaguars allow, where's it at? I just had it pulled up. Dylan, 26.1 fantasy points to outside wide receivers. You're firing up Romeo Doubs. You're firing up Jaden Reed, man. This is just, they're a pass funnel. They really are, Mike.
I even like Wicks in this one. Just not Watson. I feel like Watson's too boomer bust. Like Wicks, we've seen the targets come his way.
Yeah, his hands just don't work sometimes.
It's fine. Because, like I saw his hands work in person at my first game.
Yeah, that is true. Brody said Ingram smash him. Absolutely, Brody. You love to see the volume from that Evan Ingram's going to get. I like him as well. A little bit of safety blanket.
Brian Thomas, I like too.
Yeah, Brian Thomas for sure. He's a wide receiver too moving forward rest of the season. Brian Thomas has shown me enough, Mike, that he is a locked in, set it and forget it type of guy. He's making the case. I know Malik Neighbors is really, really good too, but Brian Thomas is making the case that he might be the best wide receiver in the class thus far. And that's saying something because of what we've seen from Malik Neighbors. So yeah, I'm with you. Firing him up, absolutely. Yeah, Jamie, we did. What's up, dude? Good to see you. We were actually an hour late tonight. So I don't know if that's technically us starting without you or not, or you were just super late to the party tonight.
Super late, yeah.
But
I do love Brian Thomas. Like, he's making me want to pull him off my dynasty squad in the dynasty 6-pack bad, because I just lost Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I think absolutely do it if you want to make a playoff push in that league, which you should, man. I think
feel like
you definitely do it.
If
It's
it was a
future use
normal
problem with the salary, man. Yeah,
no,
future
if
use
it
problem
was
with the
no,
salary.
I'm trying to make no. I'm thinking about the salary. You got to be smart in that one. But
yeah, Jamie brings up a good point. I think that's absolutely correct. Brian Thomas will be a top 10.
yeah, he'll
top
be
12
tied to
dynasty,
Lawrence, and Lawrence is just good enough. You know what I mean? Just good enough to give him relevancy. It's not like he's Trevor Siemian or these backup QBs that just completely make wide receivers irrelevant.
You just love to see the chemistry already too, Mike. And it's like Brian Thomas has already solidified himself as a clear-cut alpha in this Jaguars offense over the likes of Christian Kirk, over the likes of Travis Etienne. So yeah, I'm with you.
It was Etienne, not anymore.
Yeah, we got a question from Albert here. Since I mentioned Dobbs, that I absolutely love him this week. He's been good since he threw his little hissy fit that he had. Would you go JSN with Metcalf out? Or would you go Romeo Dobbs in a really good matchup? I think give me Romeo Dobbs, man. I don't think JSN gets much of an uptick. I don't think his role changes a whole lot, if I'm being honest with you. I'm liking Jake Bobo for DFS stuff, maybe. You got Tyler Lockett still there. I'm going to lean Romeo Dobbs here, actually, in a really good matchup.
This is one of those ones, Albert, where you got to play it safe. Not play it safe, or know what you're doing. JSN is the safer play, in my opinion, because if Metcalf is out, Geno Smith has the most passing attempts in the league. He's going to see an uptick. I know you said you're worried, but if Geno Smith is going to continue passing this many times, they're going to have to split it between JSN, Lockett, and Bobo. And I feel like Lockett may get a little bit. If anybody's going to lose targets, it's going to be Lockett, and it's going to go to Bobo. You know what I mean? Or to Noah Fant. I don't think JSN's, I do like him with Metcalf out. I think he's a safer option because he will get more targets, but Dobbs has the way better ceiling because your ceiling is created by the touchdowns. And when you're playing the Jaguars, there's a lot of touchdowns scored.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think I unplugged my mic, but I was able to switch it over. Just
check your settings on StreamYard.
Yeah, I think I unplugged it on my thing. I switched it over. We're all good now. But man, has this been a night with some shit that we've got going on. This is something. If it's not one thing, it's another, man. Yeah, moving past it here. We got next game. We got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Miami Dolphins. Cardinals getting 4.5 points on the road. Game total of 46. Yes, guys, the Dolphins are favored in this one, and that has everything to do with Tua Tagovailoa coming back here from the concussion, and I'm glad to see him back because Tyreek Hill comes back from the dead. Jalen Waddle comes back from the dead here. That's great stuff. Tyreek Hill is questionable with a little bit of a foot injury, but this Cardinals defense has been played a little bit better, Mike, as of late. Is that with Tua coming back? Is that giving you a little bit of skepticism from starting these guys, or are you still all systems go with Devon Achane, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, all those guys?
So my sour player is Jalen Waddle. He's the only one I'm sour on.
Ooh. Okay. Go ahead. Why?
He's dealing with the injury. It's week 1. I feel like they're going to get Tyreek Hill and Achane involved in this offense. I don't know, man. I can't trust Waddle right now. I can't like the targets are just not there. They're, Tyreek Hill was the one out on social media. So I'm waiting a week. I'd rather have Waddle score on my bench than drop a 0 in my lineup.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I'm with you there to an extent. I think you've been holding it. You've been waiting him, Mike. I think you gotta play him though. That's the problem.
I know hindsight is 2020, but would you have started Puka over Waddle, knowing that Tua is back? I would have still gone Puka.
I don't think I would have. I think I would go Jaden Waddle over Romeo Doubs, Mike, and I just said I liked Romeo Doubs this week. That's how
I wouldn't do that.
I know. I get it. I just we can't forget what Jalen Waddle has been for us in the past, and he's close to my heart. Waddle, baby, Waddle. You know what I mean? So it's. I think he's going to be fine. He's going to at least have a floor now with Tua Tagovailoa back. Before, with those other quarterbacks, him and Tyreek both didn't have a floor. The floor was freaking 0. The floor was hell, is what it was. So I don't know. I'm just excited to have Tua back here. But who's your sweet play, Mike? Who do you love?
You're gonna hate me because it is a little biased because he's on my team. But it's a gut feel. It's a gut check, cut feel. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. I know he's been disappointing, flat out disappointing. I get it. We're talking about Brian Thomas Jr. We're talking about Malik Neighbors. Marvin Harrison Jr., where he was drafted, is a complete and utter failure right now. But this, I think, is the game he can, at least attempt to get back on track. We've seen him finish as the wide receiver 1 before, so we know it's in his back pocket. And Tua is back, so I just see more scoring here. The Cardinals, because they've had the ability, are trying to run the ball all over the opponent. They're, 8th in the league in rushing attempts. That's more than the Lions and the Chargers, who we both know are run-first teams. All right, they're only 22nd in the league in passing attempts, and if you got Tua over here, like you said, you're positive on Jalen Waddle. We know Hill's going to get his. I know that Achane's going to get his with Tua there. Man, they're going to have no choice but to throw the ball.
I get that side of it. I also like James Conner here.
Dump offs.
Trey McBride, obviously, you're starting here with the way tight end position. Jamie said we're about to have a huge tight end week here for the holiday. Love that, man. Hopefully it's Trey McBride. Got him in a few places. I like him in this matchup as well. But Mike, you got anything else to add, or we just move on over to the New York Jets New England Patriots game? All right,
we can stay longer on this game because I don't really want to go to that game either.
We can
go to it.
Yeah, definitely. This one's not one that I'm going to be totally locked in here. Jets favored by 7 points on the road against the awful Patriots team, who are better now with Drake May at quarterback, which is nice to see. Jets dealing with some injuries up front. Elijah Vera-Tucker, ankle, he's out. We got Alan Lazard, who's doubtful with a chest injury. Aaron Rodgers, boy, safety blankie, Mike, he's out. Jalen Polk out for the Patriots with a concussion. Other than that, it looks okay. But Mike,
concussion for Polk. Mayo don't like him. Let's be real. It's it's the same thing like with Kendre Miller and Dennis Allen. Mayo just don't like Polk. That's
frustrating, Mike. But go ahead, take us through who is your sweet player in this gross matchup.
Oh man, in this gross matchup, I know it was last week and it failed, and I'm not going to get everyone right, but it's going to be Davante Adams. It's easier to pass on the Patriots than it is to run on the Patriots. I do believe that Breece Hall this is a get-right game for the Jets. I mean, this is the last time the Jets won were against the Patriots, granted without Drake May. But if that's the case and the defense is going to let Russell Wilson score 37 points on him, if the Patriots get scoring in this game, this could be a little bit more higher scoring than we expect. And I definitely think Davante Adams is at least guaranteed one of those touchdowns. Maybe he gets peppered with double-digit targets. Like, if not, Garrett Wilson, just don't cause another interception. Catch the damn ball.
Yeah, I know. That was frustrating, man. Because we did the bet last week that I said Garrett Wilson was going to have more fantasy points than Devontae Adams the rest of the season, and I think he's got the lead after one. I think he's got the lead after 1 week.
I'll have to check.
Catch the freaking ball just right off the chest. I didn't. Oh, that was so frustrating. You could tell Aaron Rodgers was pissed about it too. But yeah, I'm with you. They're going to do everything they can to get Devontae Adams in the end zone this week, man. You can pretty much stamp it. I think it's going to happen as well. You're obviously loving Brees
They both
Hall,
had 9
so.
targets. That's not bad. That's
Yeah.
actually, I mean, I expected, Devontae Adams to have more, but yeah, Garrett Wilson does have the lead here because he caught 5 of those targets for 60, and Devontae was just not on the same page with Aaron.
Yeah, definitely not. But you kind of got to expect it, man. I know they've worked together for many years, but it's still a new system. They got to get the field together once again, so it's all different.
I don't mind this. I mean, honestly, I feel
give
like
me the over for
right
both
for
of
the
them,
Jets.
Jamie. I
think I like the over for both. Yeah, I think I like the.
Too. Yep, I'm with you too. Mike, you want to give us your sour play, or did you already do that? I don't remember.
I did not give you my sour play. The sour play for me here is, man, it's Drake May. I know, like, I've been like high on him, but I don't think this Jets defense is going to give up and just roll over. They had some injuries last week that did help Russell Wilson, allow to get those, 37 points. They're supposed to be a little healthier. So I do not want to start Drake May. I know Polk's out. That's not a big deal. They still got Hunter Henry. Ramondre Stevenson is questionable. But, man, if Ramondre Stevenson is out, the Jets got a formidable pass rush. It's a rookie QB. You don't play rookie QBs against, good defenses. And it's one of those situations where it may be a low-hanging fruit, Brody. But in a game where I think, a lot of overs could be attained in this one, I wouldn't be taking Drake May's overs.
With that said, would you go Hunter Henry or Cole Kmet? Because I'm actually still going to go Hunter Henry here.
I would still go Hunter Henry just because he is the 1 or 2 option in this offense where Cole Kmet right now is not.
Yep. No, I'm with you there. Even though shout out to my boy Cole. He's good stuff, man. But yeah, I think we could go ahead and move on to this next one. We got the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Falcons favored by 2.5 on the road. Vegas not giving the Bucs any love with them losing their 2 wide receivers in this match.
Would you?
Last week for this matchup? No, I'm kind of with Vegas. Last time these two met up, too, Kirk Cousins had an absolute day. Michael Plant. I don't know if it's a game total of 46. Some injuries to note. We got Justin Simmons, who's doubtful for the Falcons secondary. Bucky Irving is questionable for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is actually a positive note because a day or two ago it was trending in the wrong direction. It felt like that he wasn't going to play. You got Mike Evans out with the hamstring, and then obviously Chris Godwin's out with that brutal dislocated ankle. You didn't never love to see that, especially to a guy who is having that kind of a season like Chris Godwin's having, man. But give me some positive vibes here after talking about Chris Godwin like that, Mike.
Positive vibes here are my sweet play is McMillan. Jalen McMillan. I do think that he is the guy that's going to earn the slot role. And this is just me, taking my shot. I got no inside info.
What's wrong?
I mean, it's not going to be Slayton or Sterling Shepard.
I think it is in the slot.
No, you really think? You really think so? No,
I think slot. I think. Go ahead.
I think it's one of those situations where they're going to treat McMillan like Godwin. Godwin plays the slot, but it's not like all the time. You know what I mean? Like McMillan can play the outside just like Godwin can play the outside. So that's why I think that, because Sterling Shepard cannot play the outside. You know what I mean? Their offense, that slot role, moves that player all around to where they're playing the outside, inside, all that, moving them around. That's where I don't think Sterling Shepard fits that role. I'm blanking on the other wide receiver's name. Trey Palmer. Mm-hmm. He's not, I don't see him fitting that mold either. That's why I'm shooting my shot with Jalen McMillan, because he can He's the best of both worlds playing on the outside, and this is a good matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. Surprisingly, they are a top 10 matchup for wide receivers. I did not see that coming with the secondary they have, but it is what it is. They have no pass rush.
Yeah. Brody, no low hanging fruit here from him there. Here to Jalen McMillan sighting. I like to hear that. Unfortunately, someone we got to downgrade, and this might be your sour pick. I don't know if it is. That's Baker Mayfield. He's one of the biggest losers here with losing his 2 wide receivers, man. I want to say he was QB2 after last week, and then it just happens. He's Baker's by sour play. I don't think I'm playing him. I don't think I want to play him. I'm contemplating, Mike. You could tell me if I'm crazy or not. I have in a super flex league, I have Justin Herbert in over Baker Mayfield right now. You think I'm crazy for that, or are you kind of with me there?
I mean, I honestly think I would still go Baker Mayfield only because like the way this game is you know that you can throw on the Buccaneers, you can't run on them. All right, we saw Kirk throw for 500 last time on them. And if they get down, you know, the game script's going to favor them having to throw the ball. Maybe it's, you know, not a 3-4 touchdown performance, but I can easily see it being a 300-yard performance. Mm-hmm. And it, you know, maybe get lucky and get a touchdown in there where, man, Justin Herbert hasn't had a game over 250 passing yards.
Last week, Monday night was his first one. He threw for 350, yeah.
350? Yeah. Okay, that's my bad, but it took 5 weeks to get there. That's my whole point is like that's not going to happen very often for Herbert. Thank you for that correction, but yeah, that's why it's like I'd rather go the other route.
Okay. Was Baker your sour player, or were you going to go another route with that?
I mean, it's hard to pick a sour play in this one outside. Like, I just want to pick on Rachaad White. I know Bucky Irving's probably not going to play. Like, he may get some dump offs here. Which may like just give him a solid enough floor to be a flex play. But you know, with him being the expected lead back here, you know, the injuries, he's inefficient. He's going to have to rely on the passing game, which Sean Tucker shown that he can definitely step in and play the role. It's a tough matchup, you know, 7th toughest matchup on the ground for the Falcons. And we already know that he's inefficient. So my sour play is Rachaad White.
Yeah. I don't blame you at all, man. He's going to be carried by volume if that's going to be the case. Maybe for him to put together a good fantasy day, he's going to catch a ton of dump offs, which I feel like is in the realm of possibility, but that's not something I really want to bank on when you have, I'm blanking on the other running back's name that could just take Bucky Irvin's place as well. And
Sean Tucker.
Sean Tucker. Yeah. We'll go ahead to the next game here. We got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Eagles getting 3 points on the road. Game total of 48. Eagles are without tight end Dallas Goedert once again, and a surprise.
Was he ruled out? I missed that. If he was ruled out,
Dallas Goedert is ruled out. Yep, and then a surprise questionable tag that just popped up today, man. That's T. Higgins, quadricep, questionable all of a sudden. And with T. Higgins questionable, I feel like he's trending downwards because it's the guy who's in a contract year. Is he really going to want to push anything? I don't know. Go ahead.
Can I be real with you on a friend to friend, you know, just talking here basic? When you say quadricep, for some reason, my dumb mind thinks like it's an arm muscle. but you say quad, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's on your leg. It's on your leg. But you say quadricep, it's like, oh, that's on my arm. No, it's a quad. It's on your
yeah.
No, I hear you. I know what you're saying. Like, I do think T. Higgins is going to go out there and play. It is a contract year. I saw, you know, we're seeing what happens with the receivers, but like T. Higgins with his injury history, I feel like, and I'm no insider info here, the agent is telling T. Higgins, man, we have an injury history here. You don't have enough tape to get the contract you want. Ooh. We need more. So, like, I understand that perspective as well. I'm looking at it, you know, from a business perspective. You know, if the agent is going to make 10% of whatever T. Higgins' next contract is, I wouldn't be suggesting necessarily sitting out if it's a minor injury. You know what I mean? If it's just a minor injury, like this is, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not a doctor.
It sucks if he is out, though, man, because that just makes the offense obviously it hurts him for sure. But
it's one of those things where T. Higgins out there benefits Chase, and Chase benefits T. Higgins.
100%.
Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely. Who is your sweet play this week, man?
I feel like I'm following a pattern here, and I will continue to do it because I feel like my teams this year are pretty decent, and I'm going to take another guy off my team from this matchup. It's Devontae Smith. Last week, I get it. It was an anomaly, only 2 targets. The week before, only 4 targets. I get it. Devontae Smith, the splits with A.J. Brown and without A.J. Brown, obviously Devontae Smith is a stellar wide receiver without A.J. Brown, but Devontae Smith is still a rock-solid wide receiver 2. He had a wide receiver 25 finish this year. Let's just call that wide receiver 2 as it is because that was without A.J. Brown. I think Devontae Smith has a bounce-back week here against the Bengals because this is one of those sneaky games where I think the over can hit.
All right, I like that call, man. While we're talking Devonta Smith, Sam's got a question here. Would you take the chance on Debo or just go with Devonta Smith? I just roll with Devonta Smith, and it sounds like you would as well, Mike.
Yeah, I would. After what we saw with James Cook and that whole fiasco with him out on Monday night, I'm not taking the chance anymore, and I will just sit the player if I got a healthy option like Devonta Smith.
Debo just had damn pneumonia, man, and fluid in his lungs and stuff. I know he's a Class A athlete, but him being able to just go back out on the practice field after that and be good, that's going to be something. But who's your sour play in this Eagles-Bengals matchup? Go ahead.
I do want it because we always bring our fans in here. You guys are the reason we do this. We did have one more question here. We'll get to it later. He said, "Can you give me a QB and a running back for the $1 million contest?" Which is DFS. Not our forte. But, as we're going here, we might, be able to formulate an opinion for that question.
Yeah, for sure. And he's also got a defensive question here, and I think we'll get to that one here in this next game.
Oh man, you know what the answer is. If it's for the $1 million maker, I don't know if you can fit this into your budget, but give me the Broncos defense against Bryce Young.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. or even the Chargers here. That's why I was gonna break that up with the next game. I like the Chargers against Spencer Rattler and the Saints too, because their offense, no Rashid Shaheed, not a lot of big play opportunity there. Alvin Kamara deal with a broken hand, been playing through it, just crazy stuff. But that's neither here nor there. Mike, who is your sour play though in this Eagles-Bengals matchup?
This might be low-hanging fruit, but I have to say it only because this was a guy I was high on in the offseason, and it's Zach Moss. I think Chase Brown struggles this week too as well because this defense front is a formidable defense against the run, but Chase Brown is an explosive running back to where he can make do with his little touches, and I'd still start Brown over Moss, but man, Moss has just been faltering off. Like the snaps have not been the same the past 3 weeks. So my low-hanging fruit sour pick is Zach Moss.
Zach Moss was the Mike Davis out of that running back group. Mike,
no, he's not that bad, man.
He's not that bad, but he's trending in that direction, unfortunately. Zach Moss sucks shit. James, I'm with you, man. Chase Brown is definitely the better running back in that backfield. Jamie, that made me laugh, man. That was good. I needed that tonight. We do got a couple other questions, Mike, before we jump into the afternoon games. Look for a trade or not yet. 16-man league. It's in 11th place, sitting at 3-4, half-point PPR. He's got Burrow as his quarterback, Mike. CeeDee Lamb, Chris Olave, J.K. Dobbins, Monty, Brock Bowers, Shakir. His bench is Deontay, Mostert, Andrews, Tillman, Thielen. Who should I try to target? I don't think you make a move, man. That honestly surprises me that team's 3-4. The guy who's killed you so far is Chris Olave, I'm assuming.
No, Lamb hasn't been great either.
But he's been fine. Mike, he's still a mid wide receiver 2. I know you drafted him as a top tier guy, but he's still wide receiver 2. Hasn't completely killed you like Olave has at times. I honestly think you stay put here unless you try to upgrade at your wide receiver 2 position, Mike. But how do you do that with these pieces on this team? Can you do that?
I mean, if you because your depth here is not great for running back, where your depth is
16
definitely
man
better.
league. Yeah, that's why.
Well, that's where his depth is. At least he's got depth for wide receivers. So I think I would, if anything, I'd be targeting a running back here. Like,
See if you could. Yeah, I mean, that's okay. I maybe
oh,
try to see if you could
because
get off of Deontay Johnson with Bryce Young back at the helm. I don't.
well, do like I don't know, like try and pair Deontay and Mostert or something, or like maybe Shakir and Mostert or something to get like a better wide receiver or running back. I think running back depth is always good coming down the stretch. Wide receivers haven't been scoring as much lately. Anyways, it's been a resurgence of the running back. So I mean, getting a third running back to plug in your flex isn't a terrible idea either.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Hopefully we gave you a little bit of help there. Go ahead, jump into the afternoon games, Mike. This is the New Orleans Saints taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Saints getting 7 points on the road. That's not enough. Hammer the Chargers here, guys. Game total 41.5. Derek Carr not going to go. Doubtful here. Quentin Johnston also doubtful. DJ Chark questionable, but I don't think he's playing. I don't even think he's activated off the IR yet. Lad McConkey hip questionable. Will Disley, who we saw have a big time week as the tight end on Monday night, he's questionable as well with the shoulder, along with his running mate Hayden Hurst at the other tight end. So a lot of injuries for the Chargers are dealing with right now. Mike, who is your sweet play in this Saints Chargers matchup?
There's not a lot of sweetness in this matchup. You really got to dig deep.
It's Dobbins, Mike. Come on. It's J.K. Dobbins. It's the third
Dobbins.
or fourth best matchup against running backs. Yeah.
But that's the only thing I can honestly say is sweet from this. And it's all based on a matchup because he had a great matchup last week against the Cardinals too. And he was not great.
They just shut that shit down, man. It was wild. It really was. Like, you got to I think you just tip your hat to a good defensive game plan from the Cardinals because, yeah. But go ahead, Mike. I'll let you keep going.
Well, I feel like it's another one of those things where J.K. Dobbins is going to get at least 15 touches. It's a good matchup here. I do not see Spencer Rattler being in the lead against the Chargers to where they have to throw like they did last week. So like this is a Chargers game where I think they control it, and it's J.K. Dobbins who's going to help them control it. So he's the sweet play. He's at least an RB2. Let's hope for the RB1 finish. Let's get 2 touchdowns again.
Yeah, absolutely. With Chris Olave clearing concussion protocol, are you in on him, or is he someone who you're kind of looking to as your sour play with Spencer Rattler at the helm? Or do you think Olave could be useful this week?
I mean, Spencer Rattler looked terrible last week. Absolutely terrible. Great. This is a tough defense. Kyler Murray, I mean, he hasn't been playing great either, but he didn't play great against this defense. So I mean, if I had to pick a sour play, it's Olave. He's coming off the concussion. He's playing with the backup QB. It's just not great for Olave down the stretch, honestly. Derek Carr, if he's out for any, if he's out for another 2 games here, man, Olave is pretty much your season's over with him. If you drafted him, that's why it's like I almost want to tell the guy who had Olave to maybe try and pair him with somebody else, get a better wide receiver. If you want to really make a move, but at the same time, wide receiver scoring is down.
And nobody's going to want Chris Olave with what's going on right now, the debacle that the Saints are as a team. After starting out 2-0, man, after scoring on however many straight possessions to start the season, they are now 2-5, Mike. It's crazy how life comes at you sometimes. I'm probably wrong here, but I'm going to say it anyways. I think the only team in the NFL with a longer losing streak is the Patriots with 6. You might be right there, man. We got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Seattle Seahawks here. The Bills -3 on the road over the Seahawks, which is a little bit surprising. 12th man over in Seattle. Bills have to travel across country, but Vegas not scared of that at all. Game total 46. Bills are going to be without wide receiver Curtis Samuel, while the big news in this on the injury front was DK Metcalf being listed as doubtful with the knee injury he got last week. Disappointing for his owners, that's for sure, but good to hear that it's not a long-term thing and he hopefully is back sooner rather than later. But with that said, Mike, who are you in on? Who is your sweet play out of this Bills Seahawks matchup?
The easy one, I got two here. It's the easy one is Ken Walker. It's a juicy matchup here. The way that the Bills play defense is they love to sit back in zone, which means you can just dice them up on the ground. They're the second best matchup for running backs. Only two teams allowing 30-plus points to running backs. It's the Panthers and the Bills. So he's a smash play. He's probably an obvious pick for the Millie Maker. Going back to that question we had, probably going to have a high ownership, but at the same time, how is he not going to smash outside of an injury for this matchup? But the other one I want to go is with Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper last week, I mean, I know he played the limited snaps, but he scored a touchdown. If he didn't get the touchdown, we're probably not really talking about him, as high as being a sweet play and just he's an all right play. But just having that connection kind of right there with only playing 34% of the snaps and getting a touchdown, I feel like that's just uber potential. Josh Allen is hands down the best quarterback that's played with Amari Cooper, and I know he's played with Dak Prescott. I know what I've said, but Josh Allen is better.
Yeah, man, and they just got another week under their belt to get everything going. Because there was times Amari Cooper's looking over to Keon Coleman, like, dude, what route do I run here? As Josh Allen's checking and stuff. It's something, man. He was still able to figure it out. Cooper was someone I was out on the Sunday Socials show last week, and he was still able to put it together off of limited reps, like you mentioned. So
it was one of those things where if you, like I said on the show, it's like our show, because I wasn't on the Sunday show, you start him over garbage, but if you have a solid option, play him over Cooper.
Yeah, sure thing. Who's someone that you don't like in this matchup, man, who you're out on?
I do not like Tyler Lockett. I just feel like, man, it's just this is a trap game for Tyler Lockett. It's and I feel like maybe it's a low-hanging fruit, maybe it's not, but with DK out, he's going to get more targets. All right, but this, like I said, they play a lot of zone, the Bills do, which means they don't allow a lot of points through the air. They don't allow a lot of touchdowns through the air. Tyler Lockett is a timing guy, so maybe he proves me wrong here, but I just feel like JSN, Noah Fant, a healthy dose of Ken Walker and Charbonnet in the passing game is what we're going to expect.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm all right with that. Mike, it's tough to say, but I get it with Noah Fant.
I want to say James Cook, man, but
coming around too.
Like the D line for the Seahawks has gotten healthier, and it's harder to run on him this year. So I want to say James Cook. Part of me wants to say Josh Allen because he's been a disappointment as well.
But what about Geno here too? I don't love Geno in this matchup. Bills are a tough matchup.
It's all volume,
like you said. Yeah,
it's all volume. That's why, last week was the first time he had 2 passing touchdowns in a game. But he leads the NFL in passing attempts. So he's going to just volume his way like a Jameis Winston, like a Blake Bortles, to be a streamer at least.
Jamie said it's National Tight Ends Day. Just bet on all the tight ends. Shout out Noah Fant, man. Noah Fant's been getting a bit more work in the offense too. We love to see that. I got a few more games left here, Mike. Still 5, I think. Talk. The Chicago Bears taking on the Washington Commanders.
You're disappointed with this one.
Bears favored by -3. Game total of 43. Bears are missing some guys in the secondary here. No Jaquan Brisker dealing with concussion-like symptoms. He's had a couple, so that's bringing him down here. And then Kyler Gordon also out with a hamstring. He's their starting nickel slot quarterback, that's a tough loss, man. But then on the Commanders side, obviously the big news is Jaden Daniels, who practiced in a limited capacity today. Dan Quinn said the next 48 hours are going to be the deciding factor to see how he feels. Jaden Daniels did say he's feeling good, wants to play, but it's not up to him. Sure, it's not. But I want Jaden Daniels to play so bad, man. I want the Jaden Daniels Caleb comparison. I
Even
want
if
them to
he's
go
injured?
at one another.
Even if he's injured, you want him to play? Like you get the report like Jaden Daniels toughed through a practice and they gave him the go to go, but he's going to be playing injured.
There's no like injury designation, if that makes sense. It feels like it's just a pain tolerance thing. Like he didn't break a rib, right? So I feel like
still though, rib injuries hurt, man. It's hard to breathe.
I agree. I had one. Yeah, for sure. It's happened to me play basketball before, but yeah, I hear you. But just play. I want to see it. This game was flexed into the 325 game for a reason. I think he's healthy enough to go. It's going to be his biggest test of the season. This is going to be a good one, Mike. But who is your sweet play? We'll just let you go. Go right there.
Real quick though, I'm just man to man. Like, would you start the Bears defense if Mariota's the starter here, even with the injuries that the Bears have? I mean, I want to go get somebody else, but at the same time, like,
I think I
don't know.
I think I would. That's just another tally in the mark of the Bears playing bad quarterbacks if it's Mariota, man. So Bears defense feasts on bad quarterbacks, and we know Mariota's not good, even though he begs to differ after what he did to the Carolina Panthers last week, because that sure was something, man. But no, I would still stick with the Bears defense if Mariota's the quarterback, because I just feel like he's going to give it up once or twice in that game. But anyways, Mike, give me your sweet or sour play out of this matchup, whatever way you want to go here.
I mean, my sweet play, it's going to be an easy one, but I love it, and you're going to love it too. It's DJ Moore. You could pick Brian Robinson too as well. I do like Brian Robinson in this matchup, especially if Jaden Daniels is out, because the Bears are a good defense matchup on the ground.
Yep.
As far as like being able to pass on them. And then the other way around, the Commanders, oh man, they allow so many points to wide receivers, 7th best. So DJ Moore, last time he played this team, he had 3 touchdowns, and that was with Justin Fields.
Absolutely destroyed the Commanders. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones where I'm okay with starting Keenan Allen this week. Like, here's a tough question: Keenan Allen or Chris Olave with Spencer Rattler? I feel like I'm going Keenan Allen. I like it.
Yeah.
He's healthy. We saw what he could, in a good matchup against the Jaguars. I mean, I think I'll go Keenan Allen.
Upwards as well. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I'm with you there. Who's your sour play? Who don't you like in this one? Because I absolutely love your Brian Robinson call too. I think he finds a way to get in the end zone, especially if Daniels isn't there to vulture his touchdowns inside the red zone. But who's your sour play here, Mike?
Man, it's Terry McLaurin. I mean, even if Jaden Daniels plays, I think it's a dumb decision. And I don't think they take any deep shots because it's just going to open him up for another big hit. So, if it's Mariota and Terry McLaurin, they had a fun ride the last game. It's not going to be the same thing this week.
Jamie, you can stat check me here, but last I heard is McLaurin wasn't really moving around the wide receiver formation. So if he is stuck on Jalen Johnson, he's going to have a bad time. Jalen Johnson is going to lock him up. Terry McLaurin will not score 10 fantasy points. If he's on the side with Tyreek Stevenson, he'll be fine. But if he's matched up with Jalen Johnson, he's getting shut down. That's just my thoughts there, because Jalen Johnson's elite, in my opinion here. Little bit of homerism, but JB just mentioned that McLaurin is bad play this week. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, my friend. But go ahead before I get any more into this game, man. I'm ready to run through a wall already, Mike, and it's only Friday night. It's not even Sunday. Ready for this matchup if Jaden Daniels goes. I'm ready for it. But next game, yeah, here's the stat from JB just brought up. Johnson is allowing only 1.5 catches per game when targeting, averaging 18 yards. Mike, that's silly. Go ahead and say it, man. That's silly stuff.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. We like that. That's why he got paid.
Yes, he did. Absolutely deserved it. Next game here, the last of the afternoon games, and hopefully we can get through this game pretty quick, Mike, because this is an ugly one. This Carolina Panthers taking on the Denver Broncos.
There's some bright spots. There's some bright spots.
I suppose. Do you think okay, I'm not going to. The Broncos aren't an awful team, but I think we can go ahead and say that they're not good. Like, they're favored by 11 points in this game over the Panthers with their offense, with a rookie quarterback starting it. It is astonishing. What else is astonishing is the injury report for the Panthers as well. I don't know if you had the show sheet pulled up, Mike, but I put all the injuries in it, and holy man, did it take up a whole lot of the thing. Yeah. No Deontay Johnson, no Adam Thielen. They're missing linebackers. They're missing safeties. No Andy Dalton, the thumb injury. Jonathan Brooks still isn't coming back. And there's probably 12 more players that I can name off their injury report. It's not good here, man. But, Mike, is your sweet play, and why is it someone from the Broncos?
You're right. It is somebody from the Broncos. And it's somebody that, we were out on in the beginning of the season, but he's finally coming on strong. Last 3 games, he's been RB16. It's Javonte Williams. This is a prime matchup for him to continue his dominance, and I wouldn't be shocked that, after 4 games, he's potentially in the top 10 for RBs with this matchup. Like I said, 1 of 2 teams that are allowing 30-plus points to running backs. Bills and Panthers, you start every running back here you can against the Panthers. Like, I mean, you want, like, maybe, like going back to that Millie Maker, somebody that won't be very rostered. Go Jaleel McLaughlin. He's the second RB on this matchup. When you play the Panthers, you do well. Tyler Algier behind Bijan. Bijan had a day, so did Tyler. So you want a cheap running back that might do well in that Millie Maker. Jaleel McLaughlin has a great matchup to do that with. And if they're going to, actually beat them by 11 points, he's going to be involved.
Yeah, Mike, I actually don't hate that call at all, man. That's a good one. Who is your sour play here? Who are you out on?
It's anybody from the Panthers. I don't want to start Chuba Hubbard. He's probably the main guy you're questioning to start here. You're probably not starting Xavier Legette with Bryce Young, but if you have a solid option, bench Chuba Hubbard. This is not the defense to play, pretty much anybody against. They're a formidable defense.
Yeah, I don't blame you here at all. There's a chance that they score fewer than 10 points in this one, it feels like, man. So, yeah, I'm with you there. We're going to go ahead and move on. And I lied. There's still one more afternoon game. We got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Chiefs favored by 9.5 points on the road. Game total 41.5. Chiefs are without Juju Smith-Schuster, while the Raiders are without Aiden O'Connell, who was the backup to start the year. Then he was the starter. Now he's deactivated because of the thumb injury. Jacoby Myers also questionable heading into this one, but he did practice fully and is expected to go in this one. Mike,
don't forget about Zamir White. He's not injured, but he's pretty much injured at this point.
That was funny. But go ahead, man. Who's your sweet play?
Maybe it's low-hanging fruit, but it's not. I've been high on him since they signed him to the practice squad. I've been telling people to go get him when he was on the practice squad, but I love Kareem Hunt this week. I think he's going to have another top 10 finish like he did last week. This is a great matchup against the Raiders. They can't stop anybody on the ground. 6th best matchup for running backs, so give me some Kareem Hunt.
I do like the Kareem Hunt call, but I'm not going to act like I heard anything you said because I was watching update from my phone. Freddie Freeman just hit a walk-off grand slam.
And I turned off the TV. It's right there. I should have kept it on. Damn.
In the bottom of the 10th. He hit a walk-off granny with 2 outs, man.
And he's injured, man. He has an injured ankle.
I haven't watched an inning of playoff baseball, but I've heard some crazy things that are going on.
I'm dumb for turning it off. Damn.
JV said he loves Kareem Hunt this week as well. We're best friends. But Mike, who are you out on? Who's your sour play?
I mean, some people have been desperate. It's rough out in those streets, and you've been starting Alexander Madison with no bye weeks this week. You can safely sit him on your bench against this defense. You don't want to start much of anybody against this defense, whether it's through the air or on the ground. They're the toughest matchup. They overtook the Lions as the toughest matchup for RBs. So, I mean, I don't even want to start Jacoby Myers. I know if you happen to be listening here, don't start Jacoby Myers. I don't know what your other option is, but don't do it.
Xavier Worthy.
I'd rather start Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Mike. You're probably going to disagree because you don't like him. I think Patrick Mahomes has a big day too here. The Raiders have been the Raiders have been running
finish.
And the Raiders have been running their mouth over the offseason as well, calling him Kermit the Frog. And Mahomes said that'll be settled when it gets settled. So, and I'm sure he's not dumb, man. I'm sure Mahomes hears all the crap that everyone's talking about him, even though they're 6-0, especially you. He probably has a picture of you in his house.
I hope so. That'd be cool.
Connected to a dartboard, man, and him throwing darts at it. Or like your name's on the list, like on Billy Madison, when dude's crossing the name off the list and then putting lipstick on.
I hope so.
But I think
he cool.
Could have
That'd be cool. Game. I mean, I feel like I tagged him in one of my posts on Twitter when I said that. That'd be cool.
Where are you going here, Mike? Jamie says Mahomes or Baker. I'm gonna go Pat. I already said I'm
only because Baker's lost his wide receivers. This is gonna be a figure it out week. Like, it's not gonna be a week where Baker's gonna have his 3 to 4 touchdowns. I think he has the yards. I think Mahomes, like, if there's any game he can get right, it's against the Raiders, where he did it week 12 last year. So
I like it.
I get it. But, man, it's going to be ugly if Mahomes does do it.
All right. Next game here we've been waiting all day for a Sunday night, boys. We got Dallas Cowboys taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Cowboys getting 4 points on the road against the banged-up 49ers team. Game total 47. I guess I should say that the Cowboys are banged up as well. They're without Micah Parsons this week as well. Deron Bland's still out. Eric Kendricks questionable. They might get him back. But, man, the Niners, they're without Brandon Ayuk after suffering the torn ACL last week. That's just, not good stuff. At least he got paid for.
No Juwan Jennings either.
I was getting to that. No Juwan Jennings. Debo Samuel questionable with the wrist and the illness, the pneumonia that he had. George Kittle also questionable with a foot injury.
I hope he plays. I really don't want to drop somebody to get another tight end. God damn.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's less than ideal. I'd like to think he goes, man. He's a tough guy. So, but Mike, who
on
is
National Tight End Day? He's gonna tough it out.
Yes, he is, absolutely. Who's your sweet play in this one?
This is me going out on a limb, and maybe it's
Ezekiel Elliott.
No, I've said it before. I do like Rico Dowdle here. It's one of those things where the O-line. No, I know. It's one of those things where the O-line for the Cowboys has not been great. All right. If they're going to get the ball to CD, it ain't going to be deep. It's going to be slant, screen, slant, to that type of effect, maybe a 5-yard in or a 5-yard out. And I like Ferguson, maybe he gets involved, but I think Dowdle just gets one of those days where he gets the targets, man. I mean, he's getting involved. He's RB21 the past 3 games. Like, I do think that he could easily finish in that RB15 range. And this is, like I said, going out on a limb. I know, I get it, but not taking the low hanging fruit.
Okay. Yeah, I don't love it. I'm not gonna lie there. But I'm with you. It's hard picking a sweet guy here in this matchup with all the injuries, everything going on. You can't really do Brock Purdy with all his pass catchers banged up. But ZH here is asking a question: what kind of value does Ricky Pearsall?
That's more of a limb that I could have went out on. Honestly, I thought about him, but that's like, do I want to be called crazy?
He just came back this week after being shot earlier in the offseason and stuff. Like,
can he pull a Brian Robinson?
Right. Is it really going to be his day to do it? I don't know. It's tough to say. Maybe he sees 5-6 targets. Maybe he can put something together. But if Debo ends up being out, if Kittle ends up being out, what's stopping Pearsall from being a wide receiver 3, I guess, at that point, man? I don't know.
maybe they just run it down the Cowboys' throats because they're the fourth best matchup for running backs.
True.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
that probably could have been your sweet play with Jordan Mason then.
Well, I mean,
You're
Isaac
playing him.
Isaac Garendo maybe has a little appeal here, with such a good matchup. You know, I do expect the Niners to win this game. Do you expect the Niners to win this game? Even with the injuries, I do think they win.
I don't know. I'm like that
Cowboys
emoji
are a
in your
mess.
phone right now when you go like this. Yeah, but the Niners are too, man. Both these teams need a win too. The Niners 3-4. I get it. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I'm staying away from this game from a betting standpoint because it's a flip of the coin, man, to me. But anyways, Mike, who's your sour play? Who are you out on in this matchup?
It's Brock Purdy. Like if it's a super flex league, you have no choice. But Purdy's been a rock solid, one QB, option.
Yeah.
But if you're in a one QB league, I'd be sitting Purdy this week.
Honestly, you'd start Dak over him.
I would start Dak over him. I would even go as far to say I'd start Baker over him. Because the thing is the Buccaneers can't run to close out a game. They're gonna have to throw it with Baker. All right. Maybe he has a couple picks, but he's going to have the yards where the Niners could just run this game away. They could easily do that against the Cowboys, and they don't even need Purdy.
All right. Mike is out on Brock Purdy this week against the Cowboys. Last but not least,
start Knicks over him. That's a good. I think that's a solid option against the Panthers.
All right, right on. Monday Night Football, we got the New York Giants taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not sure why this was the Monday Night Football matchup, Mike, for Week 8. I don't know why they put that here, but it is what it is. Game total 36.5. Shocker.
I don't know what they were thinking. What's the broadcast? Did they owe them something to the broadcast?
What's the upside of putting this game on here? What I don't understand, but that's. I guess we can get past it, but who is your sweet play in this Giants Steelers?
Is there a World Series game on that night? Maybe that's why. Maybe they thought hey man, we're gonna lose some viewership anyways to the World Series.
Jamie says because Pickens, yeah, he's gonna make some crazy plays and he's gonna do some crazy shenanigans on the sidelines because that guy's a goon, man, for sure. But Mike, who's your sweet play? Who are you going with here in the Steelers Giants matchup?
Man.
Are you going to go with George Pickens after him saving Russell Wilson's ass last week or no?
No, it's he did save his ass, but it's not George Pickens. It's Najee Harris, man. Even with Jaylen Warren there, Jaylen Warren hasn't looked right. I don't know if he's still coming off the injury or whatnot. Najee Harris is still getting his 17 touches a game. This is a decent matchup against the Giants. With Russell Wilson, at the helm, I expect more targets for Najee Harris as well. So I give me Najee Harris as my sweet play here. And it's maybe partially because I have to start him in a couple leagues this week.
I don't mind that, man. They're going to have to run the ball a lot here to slow down that pass rush for the Giants. That's sneaky good, man. Their defensive line is solid. So yeah, I'm good with that call. Najee maybe falls into the end zone. He doesn't have to worry about Justin Fields vulturing him around the goal line either anymore. But I would have been all right with you going with Pickens here. I think he'll be fine. I think we saw what him and Russell Wilson share. They kind of seem to be two peas in a pod. They kind of match up well together with what George Pickens can do by going up and getting the ball and those physical catches that he can make. But who's your sour play here, Mike? And why is it the Giants backfield that's just completely muddied?
You would think that, Pickens would have a better completion rating with Russell Wilson. Nah, 55% completion rate with Russell Wilson. I don't know if it's the routes or if it's Wilson. Maybe it's a combination. But my sour play, I'm going to go out more of a limb here. And Brody, if you're still watching it, man, you got to start him, but it's Malik Neighbors. He's going to have another down week this week against the Steelers. Maybe he can definitely, we've seen Wandell do it in this offense. He could PPR his way. He could PPR his way to a solid floor, like wide receiver 2 finish. But I think that's your best case scenario in this matchup. On prime time with Daniel Jones against a very tough Steelers defense, I find it very hard for Malik Neighbors to have a boom week this week, and he's my sour play.
Yeah, Yeah, no, I'm with you there, man. Like you said, you're obviously starting him, but getting Joey Porter Jr. probably matched up with him is not ideal. Porter Jr. could get a little bit physical with him too, so I'm with you. That's definitely
You have to start him, but
yeah,
it's one of those things where he might get 10 targets and catch 4 of them for like 40 yards.
Yeah, but you don't like Neighbors, man. You can't really like anybody from this offense. Devin Singletary came back from injury, usurping Tyrone Tracy's value. I get to an extent, his ceiling, I should say. Neither of these running backs have a ceiling with the other two there, if I'm being honest with you. Like, it sucks. It really does, because I like Devin Singletary in draft season. Didn't realize how talented Tyrone Tracy is. Now we see the talent with Tyrone Tracy, and now Devin Singletary is just going to keep eating into it, Mike. We can't have nice things, my friend. We just truly can't.
I mean, you don't increase your odds with Daniel Jones running the show.
No, that's absolutely for sure. I don't know how much longer he's going to have the job for, because we already saw him last week already get benched for Drew Lock because, quote unquote, Brian Daboll said they needed a spark. Okay. You didn't get one from Drew Lock either, though, unfortunately. So we do got a question here before we get out of here, Mike, from Daniel. Good to see you, man, on a Friday show. Usually here for the Sunday Social. 2 RBs at a flex PPR: Achane, Pollard, Ramondre, Mason, Rashad White, Monty. We'll start there, Mike, with just the 2 RBs.
You can only start 2 RBs. Well, no, you can start 3, honestly, because with these RB options, man, I can't start McBride over these options. It's Mason, Monty, and Achane.
Yep. I was going to say, I actually think Monty would have been the odd man out if you could only start 2 running backs here, which is wild to say. But I think, it's Achane, Mason, and Monty. I think you're absolutely right, Mike.
If Tua wasn't there, you'd be sitting Achane and it'd be McBride. But I cannot sit those 3 running backs for McBride.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone,
and I get why you still got Tony Pollard thinking about that, because he's been solid at times. Just this isn't the week. This isn't the matchup for Tony Pollard to do it. We talked about that earlier at the top of the show, so I think that's why you sit him. Ramondre deal with the injuries, Tolbert, Douglas, kind of just guys. So I think, Mike and I are in agreement where we're not really always on the same page here, but we are for this one.
It's Tua based. It's all Tua based, because when Tua was involved, Achane was a top 5 in getting targets through the first 3 weeks, and that really boosted his value. So with Tua back, it's Achane. Otherwise, it'd be McBride. So if there's a surprise inactive from Tua, put McBride in.
Jamie going a little bit different here with Mason White, McBride. Risky, man. I like it.
Yeah, start Monty.
Mason, Achane, Rashad White. I'm all right with Monty, man. With him not being on the injury report, you gotta think he's healthy and he's good to go. And I know the Tennessee has been stubborn against opposing running backs, but man, last week was the first week Monty didn't find the end zone. So I think they're gonna want to see him do that again. I think he's gonna get back in there.
Before last week, Monty was as good to get in the end zone as Kyron Williams is right now.
Absolutely. Yep.
So if Monty's healthy, you start him. He's a rock solid, easy RB2. If he scores a touchdown, he's flirting with RB1.
Yep. The offense is just good. I mean, it really is. Without Jameson Williams, maybe they even rely on the running game even more, man. So, but Mike, that wraps up the Candy Shop Fantasy Football Podcast. I would appreciate everyone listening to you. We really appreciate everyone listening. If you could hit that like button on your way out, we'd appreciate that.
Please, and thank you.
Yes, please subscribe if you haven't already. And then come check us out on the Sunday Social on Sunday morning at 10:30 Eastern time. If you haven't already, we got we'll have somebody here talking their best bets starting at 10:30. We'll have Joe Bond, who's a top 5 ranker in the industry, talking his rankings. And then from I'm blanking on the times, from 11 to noon Eastern. 11 to noon Eastern. We'll do the start sit with myself, Mike, and hopefully we have Ike there with us for that one. And then the last hour of the show, up at 2 kickoff, we have Chris Robin, Keith Fleming, sometimes Dave Eddy talking DFS, get your DFS lineups ready to help make you that money. So make sure to check out the Sunday Social. Once again, that's starting at 10:30 Eastern time. Jamie says, hit that like button. Absolutely appreciate it, guys. But for Mike LaPlante, absolutely, Daniel. Absolutely. Anytime, man. We appreciate your question. But for Mike LaPlante, I'm Dylan Clemens. Candy Shop's closed. We'll see you guys Sunday.